When we met with chairman and co-owner Steve Parish in episode 1 of this realistic Crystal Palace career mode, he set us some pretty lofty expectations. In addition to a top 10 finish in the Premier League, he also wanted us to make an FA Cup quarter-final, as well as the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. And after we lost each of our 2 opening Premier League games, I'm a little reluctant to head back up to his office here in episode 2. However, we are back on ChatGPT, and I've not only relayed my thoughts, Oliver Glasner's thoughts about the previous month, but I've also asked Steve Parish for his expectations for the upcoming month. It's a pretty tough run of fixtures, as we are going to face Manchester United in our featured game of the episode in the middle of the month. We're going to begin things with highlights of a game against Chelsea. You'll also see highlights of our second round Carabao Cup fixture against Brentford, as well as quick simming games against Leicester City and Everton. Parish agreed that the opening results in the Premier League were frustrating, but that our 5-0 win over Northampton was a big confidence booster, and he wants us to take 6 points from this month's fixtures. He hasn't said it outright, but he pretty much wants a win against Chelsea or Manchester United. So it's even more important than usual that we get our tactics right and put in some big performances in today's episode. We're also going to be heading to our first meeting of the season with sporting director Doogie Friedman shortly. So before we leave Steve Parish's office, I do want to get an idea of what kind of budget we're going to be working with in January. And at the moment, it's looking like we're only going to have about 15 to 20 million pounds available. That could change, however, depending on a few factors like player sales and potential revenue boosts. And I don't foresee that amount changing. I'm not planning on selling anybody in January. However, ultimately, we don't have the final say. It's going to be Doogie Friedman who makes all decisions about arrivals and departures. Friedman will also have the final say on our overall transfer strategy. So the first thing I've asked him is how he would be looking to spend that 15 to 20 million on one first-team player or on a handful of youngsters and role players. The first thing Doogie did was ask for our input. So we have just reminded him that he is the sporting director. He has the final say in all transfer matters, but depending on the status of the season, we would probably lean towards bringing in a couple of talented youngsters who could grow and potentially become part of the future of the club. Now that we've agreed to take a bit of a wait-and-see approach, Doogie Friedman wants to know what kind of positions we should be prioritizing. So I said if we're bringing in a quality first-team player, then a defensive midfielder who could drop into the back line would unlock some of those tactics that we went through in episode 1 and give us some real flexibility. If we're going to be bringing in some younger, talented players, then I think a striker and a box-to-box midfielder would be areas that we're looking to improve. He's made one suggestion which I love, which is Ibrahima Bamba. So we're definitely going to get him scouted and add him to our transfer shortlist. Not so sure about the others though, particularly since he thinks Rasmus Højlund currently plays for Atalanta. So maybe a little bit worrying that our sporting director has such a lack of knowledge of the Premier League, but I do think Ibrahima Bamba is an ideal suggestion, and I imagine you guys have got some good suggestions as well. So drop some names in the comments below. Really can be any kind of player at any position, but I would be prioritizing a CDM that can drop into the back line in those flexible 4 at the back formations that we might be looking to play this season. And then in terms of youngsters, I would prioritize a striker and a box-to-box midfielder. Make sure you guys drop some suggestions in the comments for a CDM that can drop into the back line as well, because although Ibrahima Bamba used to play in Portugal, apparently he doesn't anymore, so he is no longer in the game. But with all that being said, we are ready to jump into our first game of the episode against Chelsea, who have had an even worse start to their season than us, losing all 3 of their opening fixtures. They're going to line up in a 4-2-3-1 wide formation. Sanchez, Gusto, Fofana, Colwill, and Cucurella make up the defense. Lavia and Caicedo, the 2 young defensive midfielders just in front of them. Cole Palmer and new signing Neto start on the wings, and Enzo Fernandez is going to play in the number 10 just behind Nicholas Jackson. Oliver Glasner, on the other hand, has decided to go with a 5-3-2 for this one. So both Mateta and Nketiah up front. Eze will play in midfield alongside Decore and Wharton. No Trevor Chalobah in the back 5 for this one. Of course, he is on loan from Chelsea, so Chris Richards comes in instead. Dean Henderson, of course, in goal. And that 5-3-2 formation will morph into more of a 3-1-4-2 when we do have possession of the ball. This was an incredibly tight game in the first half at the very least. Chances few and far between. This one for Chelsea being by far the most clear-cut for any side. Dean Henderson makes a big save at the near post though. And despite defending incredibly well, we would be relying on Dean Henderson once more in the second half to keep things level. And I was certain our excellent defensive play had paid off. 10 minutes from time when Ismaila Sarr, a substitute, burst through on goal. The offside flag stayed down. Ismaila Sarr's shot, however, ended up wide of Sanchez's goal. And you know how it goes. 1 minute it looked like we might win the game. The next, Cole Palmer was playing Christopher Nkunku through on goal. Dean Henderson made a great initial save, but the ball fell to Cole Palmer, who placed it into the empty net. And it would finish 1-0 Chelsea. A really, really frustrating result after we performed so well throughout the game for 85 minutes. Chelsea did have their opportunities. They hit the post in the first half, but we had our fair share of chances as well, and we certainly deserved a point from the game. And if we are going to meet Steve Parish's objective of picking up 6 points in today's episode, we're going to need more than a point as we host Leicester here at Selhurst Park. And indeed, we do pick up our first 3 points of the season. And Ndidi opened the scoring. Here's a player that I have my scouts currently looking into as a player who could fill that CDM/CB role in those versatile 4 at the back formations. Adam Wharton equalizes just before half-time though, and we go on to dominate in the second half. Eze and Mateta grabbing a goal each to make it 3-1 Palace. So our first 3 points on the board, which does bring us to our featured game of the episode against Manchester United at Selhurst Park, where we will be looking to put another 3 points on the board. Manchester United off to a decent enough start in the Premier League. Couple of wins, couple of draws, a loss. I think just the one loss on their record at the moment, but we'll be looking to inflict another one here today. Interested to see the Manchester United lineup. I did have a quick look at it in the pre-match report. However, as we saw in episode 1, and as I saw against Chelsea as well, the lineup that you see in the pre-match report, it's never accurate. This used to be the case on FC24. If you go into the pre-match report and then back out and go back in, there'd be a new lineup there. You can't actually do that on FC25. If you go into the pre-match report, that's still in the menu rather than in kickoff like it was on FC24. So I assume that's the case again here. But because you go into the pre-match report and then again into the match day, I assume it switches in between those two events. So interested to see who's lining up for Manchester United. We have gone with the same 5-3-2 that we lined up with against Chelsea, and it does look to be correct. Eze is out of position here. Doucouré is actually the holding midfielder. You do tend to see those kinds of issues in the lineups as well. But Manchester United, on the other hand, will be lining up with, I saw a couple of interesting names like Bayendir in the lineup. Malacia at right back. Ugarte in midfield. Højlund up front. Ahmad Diallo starts on the left-hand side for Manchester United as well. So potentially a bit of a let-off in some positions. Malacia, maybe we can target down the left-hand side. I mean, Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte are a more than solid centre midfield duo, but no Casemiro is interesting. No Marcus Rashford either, but Garnacho has plenty of pace about him as well, as we can see immediately here. Bruno Fernandes. Chalobah beaten, recovers. Really good recovery from Trevor Chalobah. And Adam Wharton will come away with it and release the ball to Tyrick Mitchell. We do, for some reason, start in our attacking game plan. Not sure why that is, but there are a few bugs with the tactics. So activating a tactic, for example, just completely resets all of your player roles. So I'm hesitant to do that. I'd rather just get into the game with it on attack and then switch it to default once we've started, as we have done here. We looked really good in this 5-3-2 against Chelsea. That's why I'm eager to play the same system again here today. Same lineup as well, with the exception of Trevor Chalobah. Couldn't play against his parent club, of course. is capable of playing here against Manchester United. So he comes in for Chris Richards. Other than that, is the same 11. And I'm hoping we have a similar performance. Malacia down this left-hand side. Looks like he's going to venture forward. Chalobah beaten again, and it's going to be 1-0, and Højlund puts it over. Thank God, Højlund puts it over. As Oliver Glasner with his plat. I think if we were to set up another Crystal Palace career mode, I think he would have his actual hairstyle. But we're too far in now. I can't be setting up a new one now. We're just going to have to deal with the plat. And also, I swear he did have his actual hairstyle. Oh, that's such a loose pass. Adam Wharton thankfully wins the ball back, but that's such a loose pass. I think from Decore. And that's been something that has plagued us during the early portion of this season. And it is what led to the goal against Chelsea. And it's 1-0 Manchester United. We're being picked apart at the moment. Really poor start to the game in the opening 10 minutes. Not the way we played against Chelsea whatsoever, aside from the fact that we are playing loose passes across the back line and in midfield. It was that allowed Cole Palmer to play Christopher Nkunku in against Chelsea. And it's that's allowed Garnacho to play Rasmus Højlund in. He scored, I believe, 3 goals in the last game for Manchester United. And he's grabbed another one here today within 10 minutes. And we are already on the back foot. Already looking to scrape our way back into this game. Tyrick Mitchell, Eddie Nketiah, good run. We need more of that from Eddie Nketiah. Brings it down, doesn't have too much help, and that's far too soft from Nketiah. Gives the ball up to Diogo Dalot far too easily. That's a good challenge from Cheick Doucouré, but Adam Wharton gets in his way. And Ahmad is away down the right-hand side. It's a good challenge by Tyrick Mitchell, and I thought potentially played it off Diallo there for a Crystal Palace throw. But it goes the other way. Adam Wharton regains possession without too much difficulty, though. Eberechi Eze, in particular, was influential against Chelsea. We're going to need that from him. He's easily the most creative player in the side. And we are kind of struggling for truly creative players, I would say, now that Elise has left for Bayern Munich. That may be somewhere that we look to strengthen. Maybe not in January, but certainly next summer and beyond. It's a great ball from Eze up to Tyrick Mitchell. Again, just not strong enough in the challenge against Diogo Dalot. How can that possibly be a free kick, Lino? Keep your flag down. That is outrageous. Referee happy to allow the play to go on. Linesman has other ideas. Just let the referee do his job. Munoz. Eberechi Eze. Again, we see Tyrick Mitchell on that far side and in space. Eze just didn't quite have the leg to get it there. Adam Wharton can't win it back. Diallo again venturing down this right-hand side. Tyrick Mitchell back in position to stop the cross. Can't win the challenge, though. Do manage to force Manchester United backwards. And it's another good challenge from Adam Wharton. Can't quite set Tyrick Mitchell away. We're struggling to create anything, really. With the exception of that loose pass. Allowing that ball from Garnacho. Lovely little 1-2 from Eze off the feet of the Manchester United man. With the exception of that momentary lapse, really, that led to the goal, we've defended decently. We can barely get out of our own half at the moment when we do collect the ball. Really poor start going forward, and that's another loose pass. This time from Dean Henderson, just pounds it straight into the back of a Chelsea man. We relinquish possession far too easily. Adam Wharton, though, how good has he been defensively so far? And Tyrick Mitchell could be away. Chelsea with plenty of players back to defend. Nice little ball from Tyrick Mitchell. Just a ball to question the Chelsea back line. Eddie Nketiah asks the question. The Manchester United goalkeeper replies. in the form of an excellent save at his near post, and we're in trouble here. Rasmus Højlund is not being caught. Maxence Lacroix has to come across, comes across incredibly well, and thankfully I think it's Malacia, and it is offside. We didn't get it in the highlights, but Nketiah had a very similar chance against Chelsea within 5 minutes of the game, I believe. The exact same thing happened. Goalkeeper made a big save. Eddie Nketiah couldn't quite find the back of the net with the finish. He could have found the goal to put us ahead in that game. He could have found the goal to draw us back level in this one. Failed on each occasion. Adam Wharton, though, has not failed in a tackle yet, I don't think. Tyrick Mitchell. Looking for Mateta. Blocked by Diogo Dalot. Although Mateta is set to target forward, he is fairly slow to pick up a position that would be useful for him to get on the end of a cross. Adam Wharton. There's Mateta. Headed clear by Manchester United. Far too easily, though. And we are making things far too easy for them defensively. Good block from Tyrick Mitchell, but bounce goes Manchester United's way. Really good challenge from Decore. Munoz. Switch of play to Tyrick Mitchell, but again, the leg just isn't there. Just put a bit more on it. Make sure it gets there. Eze with such a good run. Just tried to play the ball through with Decore, but couldn't quite get the pass away. Munoz. Chalobah. Gehi. And again, it's been a game of few chances here in the first half. Tyrick Mitchell takes on Diogo Dalot. Strong defender from the Manchester United right back, though. And Mitchell will take the throw. But he does have to go backwards to Maxence Lacroix. Gay. Chalobah. Munoz on this right-hand side. He's been decent so far, Munoz. Don't have too much beyond him in terms of options. I mean, we have a couple of, role players in. Nathaniel Klein. Good run, Eddie Nketiah. Deflection off Malacia. Again, it's Manchester United's fortune. We do have Nathaniel Klein. We do have Joel Ward. They're not really players that I want to be playing. Certainly not on a regular basis. And certainly not in kind of big games against tough opposition. Eberechi Eze. Another big save from the Manchester United keeper. Good effort from Eze. He's played well. I do like him in this role on the right-hand side of a midfield three. He's currently set to playmaker with the roaming responsibility. So he does just kind of take up areas, as he's done again here. This time he's going to curl one with his left foot. Doesn't quite get the shot away. Goes down on the edge of the box and does not get up. I wasn't sure if there'd be a free kick in there. A sliding challenge from behind. The referee determines he got the ball. I'm not convinced. And Eberechi Eze has only just got up. I can tell by the map at the bottom of the screen there. It did take him a while to get back to his feet. And if he is injured, we are going to be in big, big trouble. We do, of course, have Daichi Kamada. But Eze has been influential to start the season, and he's going to be influential going forward. That's a really good run and a really good pass from Tyrick Mitchell to find Eddie Nketiah. And Eberechi Eze, as we anticipated, is nursing an injury. Maybe it came into play there because, again, the ball is not a good one. Looking for Tyrick Mitchell. Adam Wharton. Does he ever not win a tackle? Absolutely unreal performance from him in the first half. Unfortunately, we can't really say the same about many other players. It's been a pretty tepid performance. Eze once more. Just nothing really on ahead of him. Just releases to Adam Wharton. The same can be said for him, though. Can't find Tyrick Mitchell. Manchester United defending equally well. Maybe even better than we have, because they've kept it going for the entire half. Good block, Trevor Chalobah. And he keeps the ball in play. And he gives it up to Rasmus Højlund. Just has to get rid there. Has to get rid. And we're punished again. Just get rid. Just put your foot through the ball and just clear it. Absolutely unforgivable to concede at the end of the first half like that. Just put your foot through the ball. He's done the hard part and dispossessed Rasmus Højlund. Just clear it. So many goals this season so far have been of our own making, really. Our own undoing. Can certainly be said for the goal against Chelsea. Can be said for one or two of the goals in the first episode. And it can be said for each of the goals here. In the first game, rather, against Chelsea. And it can be said again here. Really, really poor. Munoz. Nobody in the box. No Mateta. No Nketiah. Nobody in the box to aim for. What's the point in having wing-backs that get forward in positions to cross when neither of your strikers get in the box? Mateta's set to target forward. Not interested in trying to header the ball. Nketiah set to poacher. Not interested in trying to find a second ball or arrive at the back post to, you know, tap in a loose ball. Both of them are, I think, more than 12 yards away from the goal. Neither were closer to the goal than the penalty spot, I don't think. So back out for the second half here at Selhurst Park. A quiet Selhurst Park, and you can't blame the home crowd for not yet making their voices heard, because it's been a really, really poor start to the game. Couple of changes for this second half, though, that should hopefully get things kick-started. The first is Daichi Kamada on for Eberechi Eze. Not a change that I was hoping to have to make, but Eze still nursing an injury at half-time, so we are taking him off as a precaution. Nice little position picked up by Kamada. Can't do anything with it. Clearly fouled. But again, the referee waves play on. The other change we have made is Doucouré off. William Davidson on for his Premier League debut. One of our youngsters in the Crystal Palace side. Signed during the off-season. An unknown prospect from America. But big, strong, robust in a challenge. Should provide a bit of energy to that midfield. Adam Wharton makes a really good run. Tyreek Mitchell can't quite find him. We have stepped up into our attacking game plan now as well. So we are, you know, we're going for it. There's no point sitting on a 2-0 deficit. We might as well try and get back into this game. And that one is a foul. How is that a foul? But that one on Eze on the edge of the box, which left him injured, wasn't. That one on Daichi Kamada moments ago wasn't. But that one is a foul. Big club bias still in full effect in FC, I see. Was a clear factor in FC 24, particularly in the Everton series. Penalty after penalty gifted to the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool in that particular series. Oh, this game is not going well. In case you hadn't noticed, this game is not going well. Such a poor pass. Manchester United just, I mean, not even eating us alive, but just barely out of second gear, it feels like, Manchester United. Just feels like they are sauntering to a comfortable victory. Have we... I think we have had a shot on target. But I think I could count... I'm pretty confident I could count on one hand the number of shots we've had in this game. It's been really poor. There's Adam Wharton. Maxence Lacroix. Tyreek Mitchell. Can we switch to a different formation? I'm still getting used to the tactics. I have set different... Those would be different team sheets, though, rather than different tactics. I don't think I could switch to one of those during the game. What a run by Daichi Kamada. What's next, though? What's next? Tyreek Mitchell's next. Waits for Mateta to get into the box, which eventually he does. So we can change to wing play 4-3-3. Tiki-taka 4-2-3-1 we don't want. I don't think we can access the other team sheets. I believe we can only access, you know, the different tactics that we've set for the 5-3-2. Unfortunately, Daichi Kamada steals the ball away. Eddie Nketiah hangs out on the edge of the box. Daichi Kamada maybe takes a few too many touches. In the end, hits it straight at the Manchester United keeper. No power on the shot either. A save that's far too comfortable given the situation. Another chance goes begging. Chalobah beaten as Garnacho, I believe it was, turns back on himself. Garnacho beats Chalobah again, and for a third time. Good save, Dean Henderson at the near post against his former club, of course, in Manchester United. Adam Wharton. I do miss having the wingers. Especially on wing play, obviously. It's useful having the fullbacks getting forward and then having the wingers ahead of them as well. In the 5-3-2, you know, when you play the ball out wide, there's nowhere to go, you know, straight up the channel. You've got to go back inside to those midfielders. And if, like Manchester United are today, the opposition are dominating the midfield, you can't really do that. It's a great ball from Wharton. Finds Munoz, flipped in towards Nketiah at the back post. Can't win the header. That's kind of an issue with Nketiah in a system like this as well. When we are prioritising kind of wing play and getting crosses into the box, we don't really want the likes of Eddie Nketiah trying to win those headers. But I mean, at least he was in a position to try and win the header. That's more than could be said for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Manchester United to make another change. Malacia off. Luke Shaw on. I think we're going to do the same. So 2 more changes for Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace. It's going to be Tyrick Mitchell off. It's going to be another Premier League debut. It's going to be the young Venezuelan Roscoe Torres to come on at left back. Impressed in our 5-0 victory against Northampton in the Carabao Cup. And it's going to be Ismaila Sarr on for Jean-Philippe Mateta as well. So Nketiah and Sarr, the pairing up front currently. Mark Gahey has also, good save, Dean Henderson. Gahey has also picked up an injury. I'm hoping it's one that he can run off though. If not, we do have Chris Richards on the bench we can bring on. But we are going to give Gahey 5 or 10 more minutes to see if he can run it off. There's Adam Wharton to clear again. Unbelievable performance from the young midfielder. Good challenge, Maxence Lacroix. Finds Ismaila Sarr. Bit of pace now up front for the first time in the game, really. Still crowded out. Still no foul. Still no free kick. Good save again, Dean Henderson. Oh my, just every deflection. Every deflection. Not just once, but twice. How many opportunities do you want to give them to put the ball in the back of the net? What more can we do? Dean Henderson makes the save. Our players are just flat on their feet. Henderson makes the save. Somehow the Manchester United man is first to it, and 3 players in the vicinity, one of whom is William Davidson. Garnacho somehow first to the ball. Just, I wish your AI players were as switched on as the CPU's AI players. I don't understand why there's such a discrepancy. Manchester United's AI players just so alert, so switched on. What is that? So ready to collect a second ball, you know, just aware of where it's going to bounce, already in motion towards it, and my players just stand and stare, flat-footed, no interest whatsoever in trying to win that second ball, just completely dumbfounded by the deflection. Unbelievable play. Fair enough, that one's on me. Unbelievable move. Rasmus Højlund, what is that, his 3rd of the game? For a 2nd game straight? He's definitely got 2. It's going from bad to worse. Obviously, we're 4-0 down. Garnacho, showboating. What did we say earlier? Manchester United not out of 2nd gear. And certainly showed there. Really poor performance. Roscoe Torres. 2 Manchester United defenders. Where do we go with the ball? Back to our centre-back. Chalobah. Munoz. 3 Manchester United defenders this time. Can anyone pick up a decent position, please? Anyone at all at any point? Thank you. And again, we have to wait until somebody's in the box and then the cross is behind them. Finally, somebody gets in the box. The cross goes behind them. Really not a lot of positives we can take from this game. We lost our 2 Premier League games in the first episode. There were at least positives we could take from those games, though. We played decent. This one has just been poor from start to finish, really. Would anybody like the ball? Gay, still injured. Finds Chalobah. Finds Munoz. Kamada. Can't get the pass off. And Rasmus Højlund, for some reason, is in behind. Unreal. Unreal. Kamada, 15 yards inside the Manchester United box. Somehow plays the ball through to Rasmus Højlund. Unreal. And again, our defenders stand and stare. Our defenders stand and stare. Let's see that one in the actual instant replay. So, Daichi Kamada collects 15, 20 yards inside the Manchester United box. Tries to play the pass across to Adam Wharton, number 20 there. Somehow plays the ball straight through to Rasmus Højlund, who is also clearly offside, by the way. I mean, what is it? You're saying that Kamada literally plays this ball through? I guess, to Rasmus Højlund. Mark Gahey running the wrong direction. Kind of thinks about turning back, but still going the opposite way. Davidson thinking about getting back, but probably realizes he can't catch Højlund. Maxence Lacroix taking the most bizarre angle. Unreal. And to top it all off, we are going to have to take Mark Gahey off because he is still injured. He's had plenty of time to run this one off, so it looks like it is going to be an injury that lingers. Eze did manage to run his off. However, it does look like we're going to be without Gahey for some period of time. That's really poor defending from me. I've just gone to sleep now. I've just gone to sleep now. That's such poor defending. I'm just lunging here, there, and everywhere. That one's entirely on me. I mean, what does it matter at this point, though? 5-0, 6-0, what's the difference? And to think this was a game we thought we might be able to win. How laughable does that seem now? I mean, we're still in our attacking game plan, too. Made sense when we were 2-0 down. Try and get back into the game. As soon as that third goal went in, we probably should have just... We probably should have just, you know, quit while we were behind, I guess. Another Manchester United substitution. Let's just get out of this game. Let's just go home. Move on to the next one. Break from the Premier League after this game as well. It's going to be Brentford in the Carabao Cup. But Roscoe Torres venturing forward. Somebody get into the box. We're going to have to do something about these strikers. I really don't know what you set them to, though. If there was any player roles that I would think would be appropriate to set players to, if you wanted them to get in the box for crosses, it would be firstly target forward, secondly poacher. False 9 obviously doesn't make sense. I can't really think what the other options would be off the top of my head at this point. But I mean, target forward with an attack responsibility, poacher with an attack responsibility, and yet we continue to have no targets in the box to aim for. Literally, what am I supposed to do? Literally, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't have pressed B more times. I must, in that space of, what, a second and a half, have pressed B like 20 times. Clear the ball. Spamming B. Spamming B. Instead, he takes a touch. I'm absolutely spamming it. Absolutely spamming it. Like, believe me, I'm not trying to take a touch with Lacroix 2 yards off my own goal line. Just get rid. I also have auto clearances on for those exact kind of situations. Unreal. Unreal. This has easily been the most frustrating game of FC25 I've played. I mean, I'm losing 7-0, obviously. Just switch on. Just, and again, get rid of the ball. What? Literally, what am I supposed to do? There's a button that's supposed to clear the ball. I press the button. It doesn't clear the ball. Oh, utter destruction. Really, no clue what to make of that one. And if we were reluctant to head up to Steve Parish's office after the first episode, I'm going to be steering clear at all costs after this one. And I forgot we did have to take Eze off. He wasn't able to run off his injury, was he? And he's actually broken his toe. He's going to be out for 3 months. We saw this injury a lot in FC24. It's the first time I've seen it in FC25. Mark Gay is also injured. Not a broken toe on this occasion, which is promising signs early on. He has sprained his knee, though, so he's going to be out for 4 weeks. So 2 of our most influential players we will be without. So no Eze or Gehi as we travel again to the G-Tech Community Stadium for a second time already this season to take on Brentford in the Carabao Cup. A strong 11 nonetheless, though. Steve Parish wants a semi-final in the competition. Riyadh comes into the back line in place of Gehi, and Kamada, Sarr start alongside Mateta up front in the absence of Eze. Lerma comes into the midfield for this one as well, alongside Adam Morton, who had such a good game against Manchester United. The one bright spot, the one positive that we can take from that game, really. And unlike the other games in today's episode, this one didn't take a long time to get going. Kamada crossing into the box for Jefferson Lerma. At least somebody knows how to get on the end of a cross. He heads past the Brentford keeper to make it 1-0 Crystal Palace within 5 minutes. Dean Henderson was tested at the other end shortly after, but he was equal to that test, parrying away at the near post. And Jefferson Lerma and Daichi Kamada combined to make it 2-0 about 20 minutes into the game. Jefferson Lerma again using his head, this time to nod it down to Kamada on the edge of the box, who took one touch with his right, fired with his left. Nothing the goalkeeper could do about it. However, yet again, we failed to clear the ball, bouncing around in the 6-yard box, and Chris Richards this time just failed to put his foot through it. Dean Henderson came out, made himself big, fouled the Brentford striker in the meantime, though, and it was a penalty. Brian Mbermo stepped up, and he dispatched the penalty with aplomb. Dean Henderson did go the right way. Mbermo lifted it just high enough to get it over the diving body of Henderson, though. Ismaila Sarr caused issues down the right-hand side with his pace. He burst into the box, fired across goal. We saw him score one similar to this in the previous episode. This time it went narrowly wide. One thing I have noticed about FC25 is it's so easy for pacey players to break away. Your defenders are always so flat-footed, and if anybody's got a bit of pace about them, like Brian and Mbermo, it's so easy for them to find a route in on goal. And Mbermo did that. And Mbermo did that on numerous occasions, this time beating Chris Richards, but thankfully firing over the bar. And it was Brian Mbermo that would level the scoring for Brentford just shy of the hour mark. Maybe you can't fault our defenders too much for this one. Just a well-timed, intelligent run from Mbermo and an absolutely clinical finish. And 5 minutes from time, we just couldn't help but give the game away. Another really loose pass from a midfielder to a defender. Our defender just shaken off the ball so easily by the Brentford striker. And again, clinical finish, but a goal that should never, ever have been scored. And I feel like that's been the case, really, with this series so far. Just conceding far too many goals that we should never be conceding. Just loose passes from midfielders and defenders. Defenders being flat-footed, defenders failing to clear is the big one. How many times I've asked a player to clear on or around the 6-yard box and they just don't do so. We did at least look good going forward in this particular game, which is more than can be said for the Manchester United and even the Chelsea games prior. We're going to need another big performance going forward in this one as we take on Everton in our final game of the episode. They've won 3 on the bounce. Just a 4 at the back for this one as Maxence Lacroix needs a bit of a rest, so Chalobah and Richards are going to be the centre-back duo. Munoz and Mitchell either side of them. It's going to be a pretty defensive midfield with Doucouré, Wharton and Hughes all starting. But a fairly interesting front 3 with Schlupp and Kamada flanking Edia and Ketia today. We were gifted 3 points in our quick sim game earlier in the episode. Not the case here. Everton run out 1-0 winners at Goodison Park. So the owner and chairman set us the target of getting 6 points in today's episode. We've come away with only 3. I would have settled for 4 points out of our Premier League fixtures. A win against Leicester makes a lot of sense. I would have liked at least a point from Chelsea or Manchester United or Everton. We really should have had a point against Chelsea. We absolutely deserved a point from that game. And not only did we lose 4 of our 5 fixtures this month, but one of them knocked us out of the Carabao Cup, so we won't be making a semi-final there. One of them was an absolute 7-0 destruction. And that pretty horrific start to the Premier League season leaves us in 17th position, barely managing to stay out of the relegation zone, currently occupied by Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest and Ipswich Town. Aston Villa potentially the only team really better than us who also shouldn't be down towards that end of the table really. Newcastle currently top of the league with 15 points, 5 wins and just a single loss in their 6 games. Liverpool close behind them. Fulham up in 3rd position, followed by Manchester City, West Ham and Chelsea. And things don't get any easier next month as we currently have 3 games to get to in the next episode, beginning with Liverpool at Selhurst Park. We're then travelling to Nottingham Forest away before hosting Tottenham Hotspur at home as well. So a pretty terrible start to the season, it must be said, but it is Oli Glasner's first full season in charge. We do have several new arrivals in the squad. We are trying out several new tactics, so natural that it could take a little bit of time for things to gel. We will just keep plugging away, try and change our fortunes in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.